о самых сложных проблемах, стоящих перед современным миром. Присылайте ваши вопросы заранее на наш email info@rusa.fm или во время передачи по СМС 347 460 08 77.
Добрый день всем, кто сейчас слушает радио РСА. Я с радостью всех приветствую. И, конечно же, сразу перехожу на английский язык, чтобы приветствовать нашего постоянного ведущего по вторникам, великого раввина нашего времени, раввина Маниса Фридмана. Rabbi Friedman, what a great pleasure again to have you. So happy it's Tuesday, the best day of the week since you started to share your wisdom and insight with our audience. So to start the program today, I want to start with a question that pertains to what is happening in our society today. What would be the spiritual understanding of what people are doing, what the society is doing when they're destroying historic elements? Is it hatred, destruction, or healing, or is it something else altogether?
It's not going to heal anything. It's just destructive. Now, there may be a point to the argument that some monuments and some statues belong in a museum because it's history, not necessarily something we're proud of. That kind of makes sense, but not destruction. Destruction is always a sign of frustration, and frustration doesn't heal. Venting frustration does not heal. We've seen that many times over. I think to get to the heart of the issue, the ultimate question, and really the only question, is morality. Right from wrong. To fight racism is a mistake. Morality has nothing to do with race. Morality applies equally to all people at all times under all circumstances. To say that we are suffering from racism is a red herring. It's distracting us from the real issue. We're not suffering from racism, we're suffering from a lack of morality. And it's not a mystery as to why, because we don't teach morality. It's not a big subject. We teach equality, and we fight against racism and anti-Semitism and anti-this and anti-that. They're all distractions. We need morality. But I was thinking just recently, like what part of morality don't we get? What are we missing? Even people who are taught morality, there's some ingredient that's lacking. And that's why we go looking for other seemingly moral issues. How do you describe a person who attacks Jews? Call him an anti-Semite. But that's like saying people attack each other because they're nervous. It's a nervous condition. No, it's an immorality. Call it what it is. So let's try to understand a little bit deeper. What does immorality mean? And let's start with the question. If a person was living on an island all by himself, no one ever said, this is not allowed, this is not legal, this is not kosher, this is not right. No one ever told him anything. Would he still have a conscience? The joke is, if he was Jewish, yes, he would feel guilty. He would feel guilty that he's not feeling guilty. Would a person have a conscience if he was never taught right from wrong? I believe he would. Because right and wrong is not the beginning of morality. Those are the details. That's the application. Conscience means the feeling, the suspicion that I am not what I'm supposed to be. Not because of right and wrong, but because of truth. Am I what I'm supposed to be? Of course, what am I supposed to be? But that feeling is native, organic to the human being. It doesn't necessarily involve misbehavior. It's a question of progress report. I've been alive for this number of years. What have I accomplished? Why do we have that feeling? Why are we driven by that conscience? Am I right? Am I doing what I'm supposed to? Am I fulfilling the purpose for which I exist? Where does that feeling come from? From the purpose for which we exist. Since we are created with a definite purpose, it's in the dough. It's what we're made of. And so we sense it instinctively without having to be told.
It's very interesting that you're saying this, Rabbi Fridman, because realistically, you just explained how I became a Bal Tshuva. Had that feeling that there's got to be something more. Bal Tshuva, for those who don't know, observant, religious. And it's true, that feeling is there. And I'm sure a lot of people are feeling it. So I hope people are paying attention right now to this extreme wisdom that you're giving us right now.
Well, this is part of the Rebbe's gift to us. Because before the Rebbe, all conscience centered around misbehavior. How could you do that? What is wrong with you? You're an animal. And that's what we thought tshuva meant. Repent. Repent because you're bad, because you're born in sin, because you messed up, because you do horrible things. Why do we do horrible things? Get to the root of the issue. Get to the essence. It doesn't begin with misbehavior. To want to do better, to want to feel content in the knowledge that I'm doing what I am meant to do. So here's a question for people who are wondering about believing in God, not believing in God. If it's just a purely theoretical issue, it's very hard to resolve it. Unless you speak to God directly, it's not concrete enough. What is concrete is our nature. If you look at the nature of the human being, without being told this is not nurture, but nature, a human being has a sense of destiny, a sense of purpose. There's a reason. What is that reason? To think that I exist for no reason destroys my humanness, my humanity. A human being cannot get comfortable with existing for no reason. It goes against the grain, which means that there is something inherent in the human being that carries a mission, a sense of purpose. I think we spoke about this a long time ago. What is an unhealthy person? And what is a healthy person? How do we know? Medicine doesn't give us a definition. A healthy person, just physically speaking, not spiritually, a healthy person is someone whose body is in balance, there's no disturbance, that frees the mind, which is intelligent, to pursue the purpose for which we exist. That's a healthy person. If my body is out of balance, it distracts my mind from doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and that is finding the purpose for which I exist. Any condition in the body, it could seem very unhealthy, but if it doesn't disturb my mind and it doesn't prevent me from pursuing the purpose for which I exist, then I am a healthy person. On the other hand, if my body is in perfect condition, but I have no idea why I exist, and I'm not interested, then I am an unhealthy person. That implies that unless you have a purpose, unless you're on a mission, and that mission needs to be fulfilled, then no matter what your condition is, it doesn't really matter. If you can see or not see, God forbid, it doesn't matter. You've got no mission anyway. If you can walk or not walk, what's the difference? You got no place to go. So by very definition, a human being is healthy when he's on the right track, which means there is a track, and there's a right track. So it has nothing to do with sin. Even the most righteous, sinless person carries a conscience. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I doing what I was created for? That is our nature, which proves that we were created purposefully by a purposeful God. So that's really what tshuva means. Not coming back from misbehavior, repenting my sins, and not sinning again. That's just sanity. Purposeful existence is more than sanity. It's rich. It's meaningful. It makes everything in life soulful, because soul means a sense of purpose. It doesn't mean emotions. Getting excited about things is not a soul. It's a temperament. When you talk about human beings having a soul, you're talking about a sense of mission. I know I don't exist just to exist. That's the soul. So,
if you don't mind,
getting back to the...
yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
If you don't mind, actually, through the week, people have been sending in their questions. And one of the questions that we have received from one of our listeners, Helen, she's asking if intellect is more important, because we did speak about it in other programs, if intellect is more important than and constructive than emotions, why does God want us to serve him with happiness, which is an emotion?
When you say God wants us to serve him with happiness, you have described a number of things, not just happiness. God wants, serve him. But the question is a very good one. what is more important, your intelligence or your emotions? Actually, what is most important is your behavior. The behavior is stimulated by your emotions. If you're kind, you will act gentle. If you're cruel, you will act rough. So your behavior comes from your emotions. Your emotions comes from your intelligence. So which is most important? It depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about final result or final outcome, the most important is the behavior. What does it mean to serve God? To do the right thing, or say the right thing, even think the right things. Think positive, speak positive, do good things. That's serving. And that is the ultimate goal. Now, when we talk about moving ourselves and inspiring ourselves towards that goal, what is the most potent influence? The mind. Intelligence. Because intelligence guides your emotions. If you're convinced that something is good, you're going to be drawn towards it, which means you're going to love it. If you decide that something is negative and bad, you're going to develop a hatred for it. You're going to want to avoid it. So it all begins in intelligence. That creates a good emotional character, and that will produce the final result, the good behavior. And then you have a complete human being.
She actually had a part 2 to her question. She said that she has an amazing husband who helps her with everything, dishes, throws out the garbage, but does not show emotion or expresses love to her. Is he still a good husband?
He's a very good husband. He doesn't have all 5 languages and the love languages. And that's sad because each language has its own virtue and its own pleasure. To have all 5 would be beautiful. So she really should encourage the other languages. First of all, by displaying it herself, modeling it. It's absolutely true. A husband eventually starts to behave like his wife.
If you don't mind, actually, we're being bombarded from, I have a Watch Live going on where we're getting questions and we're getting SMS, and I have some questions from throughout the week that people have been sending. So if you don't mind,
let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Okay, so Nona sent in a question. If God is love, creation, and goodness, then who or what is hate, destruction, and evil?
It's a little bit of a mistake to say God is love. God is the creator. Creating is a sign of generosity. If you're not generous, you don't introduce other existences into the world. You keep it all for yourself. So God creating is a generosity. And that's why we have that question. Creation is a generosity. Why does it involve pain? And that is a very good question. Of course, we're told that behind the pain, there's a blessing. God's kindness is a little too wise for us to appreciate immediately. With time, we will see the goodness of it, just like children have to grow up before they can appreciate their parents' discipline or their parents' refusal or denial. No, you can't have another ice cream. And no, you cannot drive without a license. We don't understand that until we get a little wiser. That's all very good and all true. But still, obviously, God must know that until we grow up and until we become wise, we're in pain. Why would he allow that? So then you get the explanation, because when people experience pain, they become more mature. They become deeper and wiser and more tolerant and more compassionate to others in pain and so on. Also very nice and good. But can't there be another way to achieve maturity? It has to involve pain. So we really don't know ultimately what the justification is for pain, suffering, and so on. I think the only real explanation is that the world that we live in is a world of pain. Because it's the lowest of all worlds, the least godly, it's not heaven, it's earth. The difference is, in heaven there's no pain, on earth there is pain. Not because of human failure or misbehavior. There is pain because it's a low world. It's a world in which godliness is concealed. Concealment inevitably brings pain. Spiritual pain, physical pain. We are here in this world not to suffer the pain, but to cure it. To experience the darkness in order to bring light. So the pain is a temporary thing. It's there in the world for us to fix. But the only way we can fix it is if we engage it. If we never feel the pain, then you can't fix the pain. So we're trying to elevate the world, bring more godliness into the world, so that people will be elevated, so that they're empowered to alleviate or completely destroy all the negativity that the world contains. See, it's a mistake to think that nature is good and people are bad. Nature is not good. Animals eat each other. Atmospheric conditions destroy vegetation, and so no, there's a mean streak in nature because it's the lowest of all worlds. But again, it's beautiful. Nature is beautiful because that's what motivates us to try to fix the mean streak, because the beauty deserves to be protected from that mean streak. Fixing the world, tikkun olam, means get rid of the painfulness, the restrictions, the darkness, the concealment, all of these things that introduce pain. Again, getting to the source. The reason human beings can sin is because in this world, sin exists. We can inflict pain because pain exists, even before we do. So, it is a world of pain. We are here not to just survive the pain, but to fix it. And in order to fix it, you have to engage it.
Thank you. We got another question which I found extremely interesting over the course of a week from Alex, who says, I don't like religion because it is built like a business. I don't believe that spiritual and monetary should mix?
Spiritual and monetary. I'm not sure what spiritual means, but if you're talking about virtue, what is right and good and noble versus money? Mm-hmm. Why is money not good and noble and virtuous? Because it brings out the greed in us. That's what we need to fix. Fixing the world means bring the godliness, the goodness, the nobility, and the virtue that is potential in the money, so that money is also spiritual. By giving charity, for example, you're uncovering, you're displaying the virtue that money contains. Yes, it can be greedy, it can be the root of all evil. It can also be godly, it can also be beautiful. So it's our job to make money sound like virtue. So when a person hears the word money, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What is the instinctive response? In a good world, the word money would immediately bring out the feeling of charity.
Not greed. But what I feel from what I understood from his question is he sees that there is too much about money in religious circles. When someone goes to a shul or a church or a mosque, it doesn't matter. Over there, the first thing they're asked is for donations, charity, and things like that. And it's not viewed, as you said, as a positive.
That's why the people who represent Judaism or any religion have to make sure that they're not sending a mixed message. When you tell a person to give charity, are you asking for his money? Or are you giving him an opportunity to elevate money to something holy and godly? Yeah, that's exactly it. When religious institutions give the impression that all they want is your money for the sake of money, they've got to be re-educated.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer. We got one question on, actually it was a voicemail, so I'm going to have to just translate what this lady, Esti, is asking. She was actually listening to your Torah lesson of the week about Korach, and she said that listening to that particular parsha of the week, it shows that then it was even worse, that whatever they were going then is even worse than now, basically because the God was revealed to them. They had a phenomenal leader, and yet there was still so much negativity and hate and people going against each other. So actually, for those people who don't learn Torah, we don't hide from our past mistakes and we don't erase our history. We face it. So her question is, it was actually worse. We survived and it's terrible now. So she just wants your advice of how we should behave as a society, community at this particular time. When there is so much hatred, when there is so much distraction, where people are against each other, what can we do to help things along for God to reveal himself to us as soon as possible?
Yeah, we have to reveal ourselves to God just as much as God needs to reveal himself to us. We got to show our nicer side and reveal that. Okay, so again, there's hatred, there's jealousy, there's vengefulness. They're all bad, but that's not where you start. You don't come to two enemies and say you should love each other. That's ridiculous. It's unrealistic, and it just fans the flames of hatred. Don't love me. If you don't like me, if you're critical of me, if you see me as being faulty and wrong-minded, that's your privilege, that's your obligation, and you may be right. But stop kicking me. In other words, we have to start with behavior. You can't hit somebody because they're wrong. You can't hit somebody because you don't like them, because they annoy you. You can't. That's the very definition of morality. The definition of morality is you are stronger than me and you can hurt me, but you may not. So, no, you don't have to love me. You don't have to agree with me. It would be nice if everyone could be loving, but that's really an ambitious plan. That's like messianic. Morality says, no matter how much you hate me, you may not destroy my property, you may not take my property, thou shalt not steal. Now, obviously, you don't steal from your best friend. Nobody would. So when God says don't steal, we can assume he's talking about people you don't like, and you think it would be perfectly okay to take their property because you don't like them, because they're bad. God says no. Do not steal and don't murder. Now, you're not going to murder your best friend. Obviously, a perceived enemy, someone who looks like he's threatening your success or your well-being. And God says, no, you can't do that. He doesn't say don't disagree with your enemy. He doesn't even say don't have an enemy. He says don't murder your enemy. That's morality 101, the most fundamental principle of civilization. It would be very nice, it'd be very noble if we could love each other despite all of our differences. But I think the first thing we have to recognize is even people who are wrong may not be wronged. On the contrary, if you think somebody is wrong, have a little compassion, find some way to educate them, and win them over to your side, the side that you think is noble and good and right.
Makes sense. Rabbi Fridman, thank you for that. We're doing this every week, and after our last show, I kind of always thinking, what can we do? Just like this lady asked you, what can we do to make things better, help things along a little bit? And I think that if we start painting a picture of what the way things are supposed to be and how people are supposed to be ideally, maybe that will give people an incentive to start moving in that direction. So if you don't mind, can the last 5 minutes of our weekly program be about the perfect world of what it should be and how the people in it are supposed to be, should be?
Well, imagine a person saying, I'm so upset about the people out there who are so full of hate. How upset are you about the people who are full of hate? You're so upset that you hate them. Mm-hmm. That is a joke. You want to make the world better by hating those who hate? By shooting those who shoot? By killing those who kill? That's the Wild West. That's not how you get there. If you really hate hatred, then stop hating. If you really hate violence, then stop thinking violent. In other words, the reason we recognize things as being wrong is to motivate us to the opposite. It's an inverted picture, like a negative. If what is light should be dark, and if what is dark should be light, then pick your side and bring people over to your side. But don't reflect back what you're seeing. In a marriage, of course, that's so true. My wife ignores me. So how am I supposed to pay attention to her? So I ignore her. Well, there's a solution. You're doing great. Now you're even. You're wondering why your marriage is no good? Because all you want to do is be even. Don't get even. Fix the world. If it's lacking in kindness, then be kinder. If it's lacking in tolerance, then be more tolerant. If it's lacking in morality, be more moral. Will that change everyone out there in the street? No. But you've made a contribution. At least, at the very least, you're not part of the problem. So how do we fix the world? By being what we ourselves wish to be. You cannot say, I want to be kind and generous and accepting and tolerant, but those people don't let me. They make me angry. They drive me out of my mind, out of my wits, and well, then you're part of the problem. Then, of course, they are winning. We don't want to let them win. So you make the world better by introducing betterness, not by screaming against the problem. Your wife is ignoring you, then pay more attention to her. She won't want to ignore you after that. You've solved the problem. And it may take a while, it may take years. But you're doing what's right, and you're not going to be discouraged by the fact that not everyone is doing what's right. That's the mob mentality. You don't want to be violent, but if everybody is violent, how can you not participate? The numbers overwhelm you. Everybody's doing it, so I have to do it. That's immorality. Morality means I'll do what's right no matter how unpopular it is, no matter how long it will take for my healthy behavior to heal the unhealthy behavior in others. So let's not get impatient. Let's not surrender to the negativity. Do what you know is right, and you become a candle in the darkness. And all decent people are attracted to light, and they'll come gather around your light, and they will become light. And the darkness will eventually be dispelled.
I'm into that. Thank you so much, Rabbi Fridman. This time goes by so quickly, but with such essence and meaning. So thank you so much for this time that you allocate to our community every week. And for those who did not get enough, because there is so much more, пожалуйста, заходите на YouTube-канал Рэбби Манис Фридман. Там столько много замечательной информации, которая действительно просто делает все намного более понятным и воспринимаемым. Также вы можете зайти на Рэбби Фридмана сайт, это itsgoodtoknow.org, там действительно очень-очень много вещей, о которых хорошо бы знать. И если кто-то хочет даже напрямую поговорить с Рэбби Фридманом, то телефон 1-800-656-56-69. Хочу подчеркнуть, что эту информацию я даю лично, потому что сама и пользуюсь, и нахожу в ней очень много позитивного, доброго и важного. Ну, тогда до следующей недели. Держитесь.
Каждый вторник в 12:10 один из самых известных раввинов нашего времени, Манис Фридман, в прямом эфире отвечает на вопросы наших слушателей. Вы услышите мнение самой мудрой книги человечества – Библии, о самых сложных проблемах, стоящих перед современным миром. Присылайте ваши вопросы заранее на наш имейл info@rusa.fm или во время передачи по СМС 347 460 08 77.